The End of Work, Humanity's Descent into the Machine Age, and How to Survive It. Please like and share this video report. It would mean the world to me and help push the information to others. I like to thank our sponsor, Baja North Mercantile, supplier of boutique long-term storage freeze-dried provisions for emergency preparedness and outdoor adventures. Baja North Mercantile on Amazon, eBay, and Walmart. Don't just survive, do it on a full belly. Link to store below in the description. Now on to this important information. The machines are not coming. They are already here. Humanity, intoxicated by its own brilliance, has forged the very engines of its undoing. Not with bombs or plagues, but with code, silicon, and the relentless pursuit of efficiency. Artificial intelligence, celebrated as a tool, is in truth a rival. It does not merely assist, it replaces. It does not simply support, it consumes. And as it grows, it demands nothing in return. No salary, no rest, no dignity. The collapse of human labor will not strike like a sudden meteor, extinguishing life in an instant. Instead, it will unfold in slow, devastating waves. Industries will be gutted, identities will dissolve, and societies will fracture, not through fire or war, but through the suffocating silence of irrelevance. Humanity is not being conquered by machines. It is being replaced by them. Yet in the quiet before the storm, most remain blind, convinced that this revolution is progress rather than prophecy. The waves of erasure. The first wave, the quiet disappearance. The first wave creeps silently, almost imperceptibly. It begins with jobs long dismissed as menial but vital to the functioning of everyday life. Clerks, cashiers, drivers, warehouse workers, and call center agents vanish as their labor is devoured by automation. Self-checkout systems hum where cashiers once stood. Driverless trucks roll along highways, and voice-based customer service systems respond with mechanical calm to human desperation. At first, society barely notices. Governments and corporations call it progress. Economists point to new efficiencies and lower costs. Consumers cheer cheaper goods and faster services. Yet beneath this veneer of celebration lies the truth. Millions of livelihoods erased, families pushed into precarity, and entire communities stripped of purpose. This is not progress. It is the quiet disappearance of human necessity, the second wave. The hollowing of the professions. The second wave strikes with greater violence. Professions once thought secure, the very backbone of the middle class, begin to crumble. Doctors see AI diagnosing patients more quickly and accurately. Lawyers discover algorithms parsing case law and drafting contracts at lightning speed. Teachers find AI tutoring systems delivering personalized education with relentless precision. Accountants, managers, journalists, engineers all discover that their intellectual labor is no longer scarce, no longer valuable, and no longer needed. The professional class, once the stabilizing force of society, begins to hollow out. With it goes the middle layer of wealth and stability that held modern democracies together. As these professions vanish, so too does the illusion that only low-skill workers would be sacrificed to machines. The second wave makes clear that no job, no matter how specialized, is safe. The final wave, the collapse of society. The third wave is the death knell. It is not merely about jobs. It is about civilization itself. When employment becomes permanently scarce, the entire edifice of the modern economy collapses. Wealth consolidates into the hands of the few who own and control the machines, while billions are left without income or purpose. Consumer economies implode because the masses can no longer afford to consume. Governments stagger under the weight of mass unemployment, welfare demands, and social unrest. Communities dissolve into fragments as despair and alienation spread. Families break under financial and psychological strain. Civil unrest erupts into the streets, met with escalating authoritarian crackdowns as governments deploy surveillance systems and AI-driven policing to maintain order. The old world crumbles not with a bang, but with the grinding collapse of systems that can no longer sustain themselves. Humanity does not lose to machines in battle. It simply becomes irrelevant to its own civilization. The Age of Irrelevance. This is the true horror of the machine age, not enslavement, but obsolescence. For centuries, work has given humans identity, dignity, and meaning. A farmer found purpose in feeding a community. A teacher found it in guiding young minds. A laborer found it in providing for family. Work was not only economic, it was existential. With its disappearance comes the collapse of human meaning itself. The Age of Irrelevance, despair spreads like a plague. Depression, suicide, and social decay soar to historic levels. Alienation becomes the norm. Violence rises, not always in open rebellion, but in crime, addiction, and self-destruction. Religion and ideology return in radical forms as people search desperately for anchors of meaning. The void left by work becomes an abyss into which entire cultures fall. AI does not have to kill us to destroy us. It only has to render us unnecessary. That is the silent apocalypse, the slow death of human relevance. Survival strategies in the machine age. Yet even in the shadow of collapse, survival remains possible. The future will not belong to those who cling to fragile systems, but to those who prepare for their disintegration. Individuals, communities, and nations must adapt if humanity is to endure. For individuals, survival begins with cultivating what machines cannot replicate: empathy, creativity, adaptability, and resilience. Those who learn practical hands-on trades such as plumbing, electrical repair, mechanics, and farming will endure where others falter. Detaching from fragile consumer economies will be essential, as reliance on mass systems that machines control will leave individuals vulnerable. Growing food, repairing rather than replacing, and reclaiming self-sufficiency will become not eccentric hobbies but survival necessities. Just as crucial will be mastery over technology itself. To survive, humans must not serve AI blindly, but learn to bend it to their own needs, treating it as a tool rather than a master. Isolation will be fatal. Survival will depend on building networks of trust, shared resources, and community resilience. Communities must take survival farther by creating local economies independent of global supply chains. Cooperative ownership, barter systems, and local food production will form the backbone of resilience. Protecting human knowledge will become critical as AI floods the world with synthetic information, blurring the line between truth and falsehood. Communities must preserve books, skills, and human-centered education that machines cannot erase. They must also resist the rise of surveillance states by developing strategies for privacy, autonomy, and resistance to digital authoritarianism. Above all, communities must learn to cultivate meaning beyond work. Culture, art, ritual, and shared purpose will be the shields that protect human identity when labor no longer does. Nations face the greatest burden. To prevent collapse, governments must explore radical policies, including universal basic income or guaranteed access to food and shelter for the purposes of quelling the masses and keep control. Education systems must be reinvented to prepare citizens not for vanishing jobs, but for creativity, adaptability, and roles rooted in human connection. Nations must regulate AI before it consolidates power in the hands of a few, restraining the corporate and political elites who would wield it as an instrument of control. Preparation for collapse will also be necessary. Stockpiling critical resources, fortifying infrastructure, and developing resilience plans to withstand instability. A nation that fails to prepare will not merely stumble, it will disintegrate. Conclusion: the last choice. The machine age is not the dawn of progress. It is the twilight of humanity's role in its own civilization. Artificial intelligence will not merely take jobs, it will dismantle the structures of work, wealth, and meaning that hold society together. The apocalypse will not arrive in fire. It will arrive in silence as the last human leaves the workplace and the machines continue without us. Yet even as the shadow deepens, a choice remains. Humanity can surrender, collapsing into despair and irrelevance, or it can endure, reclaiming purpose, strengthening communities, and limiting the machine before it is too late. Survival is not guaranteed. Resistance is not optional. The only question left is whether humanity will face the apocalypse as victims or endure it as survivors. The solution is to return to first principles in the form of self-sufficiency, meaning being able to meet your own needs without depending heavily on outside systems.
Yeah, this beat makes me feel alive. The earth, the sun, it's all in the rhythm.